G'day, snappers, and welcome to the Sunday Snap, coming to you through the Ballr podcast feed. This is the podcast where we give our snap reactions to the NRL SuperCoach round that was. My name's Jono, coach of Hungry for More, and with me to talk about all the big news out of round 5 so far is the Prince of Pods, the Salt and the Spicy Takes, the coach of Tubes Pods. Tubes! How are you, mate?
Jono, I nearly had a very poorly timed sip of tea there, which would have... But I pulled it back just as you were coming in. I'm well. I've had a decent weekend from a SuperCoach point of view, but also I've had a nice Easter weekend. Still got a day to go. We're coming in early on the Sunday Snap this week because it could have. The Monday Snap just doesn't have the same ring to it.
Yeah, the Monday Madness maybe if we were going to rebrand for a week. But yeah, the Sunday Snap, we're sticking with it. Hopefully give some people something to listen to tomorrow. Tubes, you're coming to us from the Podfather's house. As the Podfather's just being in his presence has brought you any SuperCoach luck this week?
Some, I'd say. Like I'm still in. I'm still in for not a above par score. Like I'm currently on 1,211. I'll have Stephen Crichton drop out, and I've got Macassini still to play. So I'm hopeful of getting 1230, 1240, which probably feels par this week. But I've done that by actually dodging Reece Walsh. So, it certainly could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm sitting on a 1255 with Big Mac to play and either Big Mac or Harry Grant to drop out of the team. So we'll see how that all pans out. But Tubes, I'm actually fairly happy for a guy who doesn't have Nico Hines and captained Reece Walsh and had the Tommy Turbo HIA as well. I actually feel like I haven't got away too badly this week and should still be in touch with the people in that kind of top tier of SuperCoach.
Yeah, I mean, it helps when you've got a good SuperCoach team. You can manage these disasters.
Yeah.
We'll talk about them. There's a few low ones. I don't know if I mentioned it to the snappers out there, but I've self-appointed myself this week the conciliary of the Podfathers of SuperCoach team. So that's where a lot of my thought and energy has gone this week, and we've managed.
How'd you go?
When I talked him out of buying IPAP. And when IPAP dropped that ball and saved himself getting 100 plus, there was big cheers going on in the lounge room at that point.
Great advice.
And as well as cheering Nathan Cleary's 115. We both had the C on. So, yeah, volatile weekend. But, yeah, it's been good.
No, it's been good. It's been an entertaining weekend of footy. What about the second game on a Sunday just continues to be utter rubbish to watch. Like, it's just been the lowest quality game ever.
Yeah, I didn't watch much footy this afternoon. I actually went to the NBL Game 5 game in the Sydney Kings versus the Adelaide 36ers. So I missed a lot of the Sunday games.
Careful, Tubes.
With, a couple of little KO minis, but
yeah, nice.
I missed, I don't know, Nico, and I was well prepared with a bit of a speech around, There's one thing that's resurrected today, and that was my SuperCoach team. But Nico, the prince who was promised, came in and made sure that I did not resurrect this week.
Nico let a crucify him chant for your SuperCoach team.
Nico was not happy. But very good for Sharks fans.
Careful, Tubes. Last time you mentioned you watched a different sport instead of NRL, you had people feeding it to you in the comments. So go easy, mentioning the basketball.
This is my second ever NBL game, and it was glorious. So I might be back, but I don't know if you get Game 5 deciding championship games every time you go.
NBL SuperCoach for you, 2026 into 2027. Tubes might be your new thing. All right, Tubes, let's jump into it now. Starting off with our ready to explode players coming from the Ballers Only Discord. And the first one, Tubes, comes from Big Hitters. Big Hitters has said that he acknowledges this player has already exploded. It's Tom Jenkins, Milky Jenkins, put on another full cream performance this week. But Big Hitters, Tubes, was asking, is he still a buy at what's now going to be around the 879K mark? Unbelievable. Could he still be a buy at that price?
I think so.
Wow.
I know that there's consideration from the Podfather to bring him in. Like Matt was talking about it today. You need Panthers players. Obviously, you would have loved to have seen this a few weeks ago and got in Milky Mill, Tom Jenkins, but he'll be 850K. But the Panthers are like 15-point favourites against the Bulldogs, and watching them on Friday night against the Storm put on 50 on them, who's going to stop them? How does anyone stop them at this point in time?
Honestly, injuries would be the only thing that can stop them at this point, and we hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I suppose Nathan Cleary getting injured, or or a collection of others. So yeah, I just think that they love that left side. Obviously, Casey played very well the other night as well.
Sure did.
It would, with the amount of cash that's floating around, which we'll talk about. People trading Reece Walsh, people getting rid of others. The jumping on the Milky Mill at 850K might not be as crazy as it once seemed.
Look, fair play to anyone who, first of all, well done to anyone who owned him from the start, and fair play to anyone who jumps on him at 870 odd K. I won't be. I just can't. I think he's gone. I think I've made my bet. I think I need to line it now. I just did not think he could keep up these try-scoring heroics and got it completely wrong. I'm not going to be jumping on 870K. He's gone for me. I will look maybe to try and bring him back in a little bit later if he can come back down to earth. But if people want to use their money, and I'm sure there's a lot of people looking to trade someone like Reece Walsh this week who we'll get into, I can understand making the justification to get Tom Jenkins. But for me, just everything in my SuperCoach being says not to bring in a guy at 870K who's been on such a hot try-scoring streak.
It does. But I still think it could be worth bringing him in. I can't. How do people stop that left edge of Penrith? I just can't see it happening. And I just think if in your position or anyone that's sort of in that top echelon position, do you really want Tom Jenkins to be the reason that you go down in flames this year? As in when you can just get him in and stave off those people, climbing up to catch you.
I think you just got to hope, because, a lot of the people up in and around that area are there in a big part, not all the way, but there because of Tom Jenkins. I think you just got to hope that now he comes back to earth and that you can make some ground up on what you've already lost. But, look, I'm not going to hold it against anyone who does it, but it's not going to be for me. Tubes, the other one that we have this week was Homole Olakau'atu. This one came in from a couple of ballers in the Ballers Only Discord. If you want to join, head over to baller.live/Discord, sign up and be a part of the conversation. It's a lot of fun. Will and Tom put this one to us, Tubes. Homole Olakau'atu, big Ola, 128 points on the weekend. He had a try and 2 assists. He was averaging 66 coming into this game, but he scored 2 tries from those 3 games to get up to that average of 66. 23 runs, Tubes. Do you think Ola, now that, Manly look a little bit freer, Seabold is gone, it's Fosball now, could he be a RTE?
I guess so. I think Seabold would have been RTE on Thursday night watching this performance.
Sure, he didn't watch.
Do you think they got along well, or do you think maybe...
I'm going to base Tubes on the way Ola had performed in his 3 prior games this year. I'm going to say no, they didn't get along compared to the man we saw.
Wasn't quite doing it to save his job.
No.
But yeah, he did look very good. Look, Ola's never been one of mine. He's always done well from a SuperCoach point of view. I've never felt that Ola is one that performs well when the going gets tough. And that's not to call him soft or anything like that, because he's obviously a very hard man. But from a SuperCoach point of view, he doesn't score as well in those tougher games. He does need Manly to be on a roll, and I still think that Manly are going to be a bottom 4, bottom 8 team, certainly. So I don't think Ola's necessarily a bring-in option for this year.
Tubes, in the words of Chad Townsend, I'm a big Ola guy. I've owned him the last 3 years in a row. I love watching him play, and I do think he can be a frustrating one at times, because when he can put 3 weeks in a row where the base just goes away. They got tough opposition. I'm not calling him soft either. I don't want to be like the guy who has to run at him at training and get smashed by him. So I'm not calling him soft, but he can go on those runs 3 weeks in a row where the base is gone. He doesn't get the attacking stats and you're like, why do I own this bloke? But he also is one of the only second row forwards, I would say, who has a really high ceiling. He can have those games where he puts on 128 points like we just saw and can absolutely give you that edge against your competition. So I will take a big think about it. I think the only problem I have against it, Tubes, is that all these mid-range second row forwards are going so well that I can't justify trading them yet to get up to Big Ola.
Yeah, I think that's a fair enough statement. And yeah, as I said, I don't think that he's necessarily bringing. He's also an Origin contender. Like he's been in and around the Origin, so certainly not necessarily one you'd want to be bringing in round 6 for all the reasons that we've said, but then also the Origin risk as well.
Yeah. All right, Tubes, let's get down to what I think for a lot of people is going to be the segment of the week this week. It's the Rage Trades.
Are you little?
Also coming from our Ballers Only Discord, geez, Tubes, there are a lot more rage trade candidates coming through than ready to explode ones this week, which I think sums up the round of footy. This first one comes in from Jono. That's me. I'm putting this one forward. Reece Walsh. Far out, Tubes. 38 points as the captain. I cannot tell you the high to low that I experienced on that game on Saturday night when he got that ball down the blind and streaked 80 metres to score a try, busted about 3 tackles on the way. I was up. I was cheering. I was getting shushed from people in the room about waking up the kids next door. I was up and about. And then the try got disallowed and I was disappointed. I was like, okay, but I get it. You know, he's still up and about. This is looking good for Reece. The next set, making a tackle, HIA, comes off. They rule him out with Cat 1. And also now after the game, turns out he had a fractured cheekbone and he's going to be gone for the next 6-ish weeks. So he's a clear trade candidate. Man, Tubes, I like to say that SuperCoach for me doesn't ruin a weekend, but it can enhance a weekend. It got close to ruining my Saturday night with Reece Walsh, and that happened. I know a lot of other people feel the same way. I think he was like over 50% captain by the top 1%, so a lot of people feel that way. How did you feel as a non-owner, Tubes? Is it fair enough that I'm feeling ragey?
I think it's definitely fair enough that you're feeling ragey. You'd even Adam Reynolds had gone for the game as well. So he was kicking goals. It was Reece ball.
He was playing Reece ball.
Yeah. Everything was on track for a 150 plus. It was how, and we'll probably talk about this, but it was how I felt about Turbo on Thursday night. Like, as in nothing could stop him. But it may be even more so with Reece kicking goals as well. As a non-owner and someone that decided not to bring him in this week versus others, I can't say I was too unhappy. Obviously feel bad for him and, you know, getting injured and seeing him having the green whistle hospital. It's you know, it's a bit sad, but from a pure SuperCoach point of view, the 45% that didn't captain him and not owned him, hearing the Cat 1 wasn't necessarily the worst news of the weekend.
Did you see him filming himself, Tubes? He'd finished what they needed to do at hospital, still like high as a kite from the green whistle and whatever other drugs they had to give him for the pain management, giving someone a push start in the car park.
Yeah.
How good's that? So good for Reece.
So good.
Loved it. Look, Tubes, what we did have come through in the Ballers Only Discord was questions around what to do. This was in the Sunday Snap channel. Was people saying, okay, he's a trade. Who would you trade him to? Do you trade him to a premium halfback? Because they are in great form this week. Do you trade him to a fullback? There was even people who traded out Sewer this week. This was a specific question we had. I traded Sewer for Walsh. Can I just trade Walsh back to Sewer? Or is that silly? What are your overall thoughts on those questions?
I think you can definitely get Sewer back. You have to swallow your pride and do that.
So that's your number one move?
No, it's not. I think that was probably answering the last of the 3 or 4 questions that you sort of threw at me there, and I thought I'd jump on one. Look, I haven't given enough thought to it just yet, but the Roosters coming off the bye with the run that they're coming up with, I think you want to jump on that Roosters stack pretty soon. So Teddy's going to be coming into next week with a big break even of 133. I think that you could easily pick up someone like Marky Mark, who will have a low break even, or Robert Toya, who we talked about last week on the Snap. And they could sit in your flex, and then you move them down to centre wing the following week and bring in Teddy at a further cut price. That's what I'd probably be looking at trying to do over the next couple of weeks. We obviously already talked about Milky. And yeah, I mean, Nico, Cleary, all of those things. The only problem with Nico is that they've got the bye coming up in the next couple of weeks. I mean, whether that deters you or not. So, but yeah, there's plenty of options to look at. I don't think you have to get a fullback this week.
Yeah, I'll save the Nico chat in depth for later on when we talk about Nico in that Sharks game. But he's one that I'm really looking at. But the buy thing, yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Let's get to the next rage trade candidate that came in from Bomber_23, Stefano Udakamanu. Now, for the record, Tubes, he's your guy. You've said that many times. I never rated Stefano. I traded him out after round 1. He's your man. He's had a 56 on the weekend in 49 minutes, his lowest minutes of the year. In all seriousness, though, Tubes, we both really like Stefano. 49 minutes, though, he's been kind of looking around that 55 to 60 mark pretty consistently. Are you worried about those minutes dropping?
It was a bit strange. I don't know why. I thought maybe, if anything, his minutes would be more assured with the Kamakamika pull out of the game and going to be missing for a fair bit of time. Obviously, that put Clark to the edge. So I haven't looked in depth at their rotation, but I watched that game pretty closely, and I thought Stefano played pretty well.
Was their best player?
He was making a lot of tackles. So possibly, and I thought, to be honest, their worst period was when he was not on the field. So I thought that Bellamy might have pulled him off because he was a bit gassed. Like he might have got a bit gassed from making too many tackles. But I'm not worried about him at all as a front row forward 2 or 3 option. I'd love to own IPAP. I could imagine being ragey if last week you went Stefano versus IPAP from a downgrade from Haas, because you've probably lost that trade just with how good IPAP looks. But I don't think Stefano's a sell. I think that he's a long-term hold from my point of view.
I completely agree. All right, the next one, Tubes, Valentine Holmes. This came in from a few people. Briz, Chris, Albie, Jester44. I bet your brother, Danny Boy, coach of the Castabonitas, would have this guy up as a rage trade candidate. 30 points, Tubes. He's now got a break even of 121 coming into next week. He's going to drop 40K. He's not getting much good quality ball, but also he didn't look good when he was getting quality ball either in that game. The Dragons look an absolute shambles. It's hard because a lot of people got him in a couple of weeks ago because of the Dragons' friendly draw. Choose one thing you and I have spoken about, I don't know if we've ever said on the pod, but we say about it privately, is that sometimes bad teams don't have friendly draws. Do you think that Val Holmes is in that category? Would you persist, or is he a trade?
Does it depend on Flano getting fired this week or not? Like, does that make a change given what we just saw from Manly? I do. I was very ragey on Saturday night.
Oh, do you have him as well, Tubes?
Yeah, I've got him. And I didn't have a good week in the centre wing. Crichton and Val and Kiraz, my big 3 premiums were going. So yeah,
that's rough.
But with Val, like, they're not going to score 0 points every week. He does have the goal kicking. It was a particularly rough game for them. And I know that it should be better against the Cowboys, but I just think that he will come good. I'm thinking I'll be holding at that price. But if you are to jump off, this is the week. I think you have to go now. I think if you're holding for the longer term. In a way, I'm really just hoping that Flano goes and we see that bounce from the Dragons as well.
Yeah, it's. I think I'd hold, but I can also understand people feeling ragey and deleting him straight out of the team as soon as they can. But I just think their draw is still friendly, I guess is what I'd say. But it's tough. I'm glad I'm not in the position. I think I would hold. I also think he's a chance of missing Origin now too. So, like, they got Bobby T, Obviously, Robert Toya. They got Murray Taulagi, looks good. They just got a bit happening in their outside backs. Obviously, the hammer as well. So I think there's a chance he misses Origin. So we'll see.
There's no chance he misses Origin. He's the best winger. He's a gun winger.
I'll throw back to you then. Who's missing out? Xavier Coates, Murray Taulagi, Robert Toya, or Hammer? Who's missing out?
Any of them. But Toya will be in the centres, so Xavier Coates probably misses out versus Val.
I guess he hasn't been playing.
Assuming he's back, yeah.
Yeah. All right. What about the Flano quote tubes this week? Like, why would you want to play for this guy? This was his quote. We can't change our 30-man roster. I can't sack 30 players. So guess what? It's on me. Like, why? If you got your coach saying that, it sounds like he doesn't rate the players. Like, I just don't know why you'd want to turn up and play for him. But I agree with all the points.
It's weird he didn't say 29 as well. Like, I mean, Kyle's not getting sacked. So, but
all right, Chief. The last rage trade is David Fafita. This came to us from a couple of our ballers in the Discord. Polly329 and I don't know if it's pronounced Keegan or Kegan, but both great contributors into the Ballers Only Discord. David Fafita, Chiefs, he had 42 in 66 minutes on the weekend. He was bothered by blisters all game, not something you normally hear. He had a lot of issues with his boots, they were saying on the commentary. He probably actually would have got a lower score in the mid-30s, but he came back on near the end with Jai Gray copping a HIA with a backline reshuffle. What do you think, Chiefs? He's averaging 56 in base plus power, including this game. I don't think he's I don't think he's a trade at all.
There's plenty of other problems to fix other than David Fafita. I still think he'll come good. Huge game next week, the Bunnies in Optus Stadium at Perth. I think it's going to be very high scoring. I think Fafita has a field day. So I think you're happy to hold Fafita for this week.
Yeah.
Can I just circle back before we finish the rage trade section? Because I just wanted to give a shout out around the Reece Walsh. Obviously, I didn't own Reece Walsh. And I just made a comment to our private group saying, good luck, all Reece Walsh captainers, break a leg, just as, that was all that was said. And then that range of emotions that you then described, I think everyone was feeling in this group chat when everything happened. And then Dan just comes from the sideline going, can we stop the death riding in this group of players where we captain them? And it was just the best. It was just the epitome of just that pure anger and frustration for just purely based on SuperCoach. So yeah, it was a raging
I was feeling it
week.
with him. I was feeling it with you, Danny boy. He just said what we were all thinking.
Yeah.
All right, Chiefs, let's get into it.
No, but in all seriousness, John, I mean, history of facial fractures. I just don't know how you guys captained him or even had him in your squad.
It is his third one in the last 3 years.
Ticking time bomb.
As our good friend, the NRL physio, likes to say. Chiefs, let's get into the actual round review now. Dolphins versus Seagulls was the first game of the week, which the Seagulls, like we mentioned, with Fosball coming out, absolutely dominated. Tommy Turbo, probably one of the biggest talking points out of that game. He got 72 in just 47 minutes. He looked set for a monster score. He went for a HI. He actually passed, which I was absolutely shocked he passed. I thought he looked really bad after 2 knocks to the head. The good news about that, though, is that he is available now for next week. So it was just a big what could have been, really, with Tommy in that game.
Yeah, huge. It felt like a what could have been at half time. Like he was on 70 and it felt like he could have been on 150 at that point in time. They were just dominating. He was doing well. He actually ended up being a bit more of a decoy runner. And it was just nice. I mean, I know he had the HIA, but seeing Tom fully fit is so good and so much fun to watch. So, yeah, for those, myself and the Podfather, we had the VC on him. We were watching and
excited
we were
early.
Disappointed, very excited. But, yeah, I'm glad that he should be back next week and we go again. I think he's a big option as well for those that are selling Reece Walsh, for sure.
Chiefs, the other one, his brother, Ben Trebojevic, Burbo, who had 131 with a try assist. I've got to give credit to C-Mac for this. I did not spot this myself, but C-Mac mentioned his improved base plus power. Chiefs, he's averaging over 60 in base plus power through 4 games. Is there just a chance that, he's finally reaching that potential and coming of age at 24?
Definitely. He's definitely grown into his body more.
It looks thicker.
Yeah, a lot thicker. Like, because he's always been a bit more rangy, built a bit more like Tom, but obviously plays in the back row. And I don't mind his ball playing. Like, he combines well with his brother. Like, I
He
think
does.
that if Manly start going on a little bit of a run, I really don't mind him. 500 or now 570k is probably a little bit pricey. If you could get him in the 400s, there'd be plenty jumping on.
Yeah. All right. Toa Taukula, Tubes. He has just done it again. 105. Try and an assist. Looked incredible at fullback, Tubes, which I'm sure you as a Sharks fan, that made you feel good watching it. And
Shocked.
I tell you what actually surprised me, though, is that he got the fullback nod over Lehigh Hopewade, because last year, whenever Tommy wasn't there, it was Lehigh. So that seems a little bit of a flip. I guess new coach, he sees Coola's potential in that role. But, yeah, geez, he looked good. The other one, Tubes, is...
maybe just this is just conspiracy tubes here.
I love conspiracy tubes.
He was in contract renegotiations last year, and for some reason his manager doesn't think that he's a fullback. So Manly decided they didn't want to show the world how good of a fullback he was and remind everyone last year. But now that he's re-signed with Manly till 2030, as soon as Tom goes down, Cool is straight back into fullback, just getting that centre wing money.
Oh, I like that little conspiracy. It's good. Good management from the Seagulls if they did that, if they had that now. Tubes, Taniela Paseka, I just wanted to note that he had 54 points this week. Only played 40 minutes in his first stint under Kieran Foran, but I think that might be a thing where Kieran's saying to him, less minutes, but get out there and just play your role. And he doesn't have to worry about stamina and staying fit for longer. He had 17 runs after having only 6 in the previous week. So really good signs for the Paseka owners. Onto the Finns, Tubes. Herbie Farmworth. It was the return of Herbie Junkworth, wasn't it?
God, that sucked. I'm a Herbie non-owner, and that was such a junky try. Somehow we were getting away with a Herbie 50 or 60 before that, and yeah, well done. He looked great. They're on the bye next week. Finally get a week where I don't own Herbie and I don't have to watch it. But yeah, it was good. It was a good try, but it was very junky.
And he was going for more, again, even after it. Like, he just loves it at the end of games. He just doesn't stop.
Never stops. Like, he tried to score in the last 5 seconds of the game. Did he put a little chip and chase for himself? I can't... yeah.
He did. No, he did. Chip and chase and then knocked it on trying to pick it up. Chiefs, he is surely the leading candidate of guys who might play Supercoach and own themselves with how he always does that at the end of games.
Yeah. He just loves it. Like, as in... Yeah, I think when they're back from the bye, I know they've got a tough run, but if you don't own him, which is only about 58% of people now, you've got to figure out a way to get him in.
100%. Choose the last one from that game is Finny Filiaki, who full credit for this pun to Degenosaurus from the Ball's Discord, calling his score Finny Filiaki for the people who brought him in this week with his 53 points. Now, whilst I do highly appreciate the pun, I got to say, 53, all base plus power in an absolute thrashing of a game. To me, if I was an owner, I'm pretty happy. That just shows me that's his floor for this year, and he was still putting in that effort even in the game that he got away.
Yeah, but you're not happy. You've just bought in someone at 620k who's then on the bye next week. You can't be happy with 53.
No, you're not.
Like,
but
long term.
I'm talking long term.
He's fine. Like, he'll be a hold. I wouldn't be racing to buy him anytime soon now, but he'll be a fine hold for everyone, as we talked about last week.
The next game, Tubes, the Rabbitohs versus the Bulldogs. Latrell Mitchell, 101 points, 2 tries, 22 points in goals, 36 in base plus power. I just finding this year, he just keeps popping up in the right spots all the time. Seems to be, as Dan calls him, Johnny on the spot with some of his tries. I'm also, the other thing I'm loving as a South fan and a Trell owner, his ability to get the ball in a 2-on-2 situation, palm off the centre, bring in the winger and flick it out to AJ, shout out AJ, and get him into open space is just next level, and it's going to keep getting him great attacking stats. What's he going to be now, Tubes? He's going to be just over 700k. He's surely still a buy at that price, isn't he?
I think so. I have regrets. I went Crichton versus Latrell to take on at the start of the year. It was a silly decision, and I sort of want to ride it, but at the same time, surely he has to get beat at some point. Like, you feel like, is an injury just around the corner? But he looks unbelievable, and really maybe it's just that, obviously he's a very good peak of his powers fullback. But on the day-to-day, week-to-week grind of NRL, centre's probably just his position, and it just suits him best for his style of game.
Yeah, it's been really impressive. And I think, you mentioned that matchup, Rabbitohs versus Raiders in Perth next week, 3 p.m. Perth, notoriously a pretty high-scoring venue on a dry track. I think it's going to be a points fest, and I would not like to be taking him on next week either.
No, not at all. Simi's going to have to do a job for us.
Oh, what a matchup. What a matchup that'll be. Simi v Trell. Chiefs. Tallis Duncan had 101 points as well. He had a try. He then had another, which was correctly disallowed, but not due to his line run. His line run was beautiful. It was just a forward pass from Cody. I think he's in the convo for best line runner in the whole NRL. He has dropped down to 547k, in part because he came off the bench in the first 2 rounds. If you are looking at Tallis Duncan as an option, I'd say next week's the week. He's got a break even of 32. I mean, I would love to see him on the left edge. I do think at full strength when Fafita's there, Tallis will push out to the right. And there is the question mark of not owning too many Rabbitohs. What do you reckon?
I like him. I think he's a great pod. You obviously owned him last year. Can find the try line. Mm-hmm. What's happened with you and Aiken? Like, is he now just a middleman? Like, is that what sort of become?
He's out. He's been injured.
Okay, so I suppose you need to find out how long he's out for, and what that looks like. But I did notice that you and Aiken did start playing through the middle at least a few weeks ago.
No, he did. So he was moving to the middle, and Tallis was coming on to an edge.
Okay, yeah. I mean, without knowing, but if we've got a number of weeks of Tallis as this edge back row, potentially getting close to 80 minutes, I think he's a huge buy. Opportunity at that 500k. Not just chasing last week's points, but potentially still chasing last year's points as well with him.
Yeah, he looks a freak of a player who's finally realised how quick he is, how good he is. His ability as well, Tubes, like it's Cam Murray-esque, his footwork at the line and the quick play the ball and the roll on it gets to. Keon Kalamatangi, a little bit disappointing, 54 points, plays 67 minutes, but he does look to be impacted with this PCL issue. I believe Wayne Bennett said it was an MCL, but Keon himself said a PCL injury that he's had ongoing. He got 0 power stats in that game, which is not the way he usually plays his footy. Would you have him down as a sell, Tubes?
It's pretty tough in the front row at the moment. Obviously, Payne Haas, now Keon. It's touch and go. It depends how many fires you have to put out at the moment. We haven't even talked about Harry Grant yet. There's a lot of potential trade options this week. If I had no other problems, I'd probably sell him. But I think he's an okay hold.
Jubes, speaking of problems, I'm just going to let you have the floor here. Stephen Crichton, 29 points, came off after 43 minutes with an AC joint injury. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he was leaving my team anyway this week. He probably should have left last week like he left yours. Well done. You followed up on the rage trade from the conversation we had last week. Bulldogs were not looking any better at all. And then obviously he's been injured, so he's going to be straight out of my team, but now at 550k, unfortunately. Yeah, and there's not much more to say. Like the left had not been still getting the ball. They still haven't figured out their attack. It felt worse even this week with the Bunnies. It felt like the Bunnies really were rushing up on that outside defense. Like they're just such slow, whether it's Kurt Mann, whether it's Salmon, whoever's in that middle role, they know they're going to sweep out the back and they're just straight into them. And they're giving them no time. And then when they do seem to have time, it's like the halves, Burton or Galvin, but mainly Burton on the left side is like, oh, thank God I finally got some time, so I'll just dummy and run.
Dummy and run.
It's just, it doesn't make any sense. So, Yeah, he's a sell. I think it's the bigger conversation is for Jacob Kiraz. He's 723k. He's about to lose 50k. He looked good with base plus power. So he's had a 54. I think it was all base plus power. 3 tackle breaks, which was great to see back. He had the offload going as well. He was on 50 points after I think 60 minutes. The Bulldogs just then couldn't hold the ball for the last 20 minutes. So he couldn't touch the ball because they couldn't hold it. I don't think Crichton being out is the worst result for him. And I'm an owner, but I'm just going to be holding now as that long-term hold, I think, and see how it goes. But it's obviously disappointing.
I think I agree with you, Choose, about him being a hold. Like, he's losing 50. I think if you're going to sell him, last week was the week to sell him. His break-even's going to be a 78 now, which he gets. If he scores a try, he gets 78. He still doesn't look quite right to me. Like, his runs aren't as impactful as what they have been in the past. He's trying so hard. It's no fault at all in his effort. But just watching that game, there were still times where I just thought, he doesn't look to be hitting the line as hard as he has in the past. So I still think he's feeling those injuries. He was limping around at one point as well to go with the shoulder. But I think at that price now, with that break even, I would hold. But I also bet there's plenty of people feeling ragey who, if they don't have problems, will look to move him to, say, Marky Mark this week at a cheaper price. Choose the last one from the Dogs, Jacob Preston, who had a 52. His knee was heavily strapped after hyperextending it last week. I don't know. What do you reckon? Just a down game because the Dogs looked poor and that he didn't really get the flow? Or do you think he's still feeling the impact of that injury himself?
I'd say he's still feeling the impact. But again, similar, trying very hard. And yeah, 52, base plus power. Yeah, similar to Kiraz. I think he's a hold. It's not a great week next week against the Panthers, but you got to hope the Dogs could potentially turn it around.
Let's get on to the Panthers right now, Tubes, who put 50 points on the Storm. The first time, I think it was like 22 years it's been done. Nathan Cleary, far out, he looks good this year. Like, he had 115 SuperCoach points, a try and an assist. He got an early shower this week, so, probably could have been even a little bit bigger. They did get some junk after he left the field. It's unbelievable how good he looks, Tubes. I think I owned him all off-season and said that I really liked I thought they were going to come out hard this year. I still did not expect anything close to this.
Yeah. I mean, they all look very good, but it's all controlled by Nathan. He should have been on more. Like, I'm not saying he should have been, like, he was not, but just with how good he was, it felt like he deserved more SuperCoach points. And it just feels like every week now, I don't know how he's not going to be everyone's vice captain or captain. Only vice captain, really, which is next Thursday because they're the first game of the round. But yeah, he just accumulates points so easily, and he's just got the ball on a string. Like, and obviously the Panthers are playing well, they're defending well, and they're just doing it at both ends. So he is the absolute number one must-have and captain. I still think that he hasn't actually gone off yet. He's gonna have 180 game at some point. I just don't know when it's going to be.
Yeah, and you want to own for when it eventually happens. So I agree. I think he's the must-own player in all of SuperCoach right up until that Origin period. Tubes, we mentioned about how Tommy Jenkins is getting away and wanting a piece of that backline. So let's look at a couple of other Panthers backline players. First up, Dylan Edwards, who had 108. With Walsh hurt, Teddy having a huge break even, do you think that Edwards could be your way into the Panthers backline?
Look, it makes sense to sort of think through that, especially with the Walsh being injured and that being an option. The problem for me is historically Edwards usually performs when Cleary is injured. And whilst he's had 108 on the weekend, he hasn't been that impressive scoring wise this season whilst they've been smashing teams. So he's got an unbelievable base plus power game, but he also, I guess, just doesn't get as many attacking stats as what they seem to get, with the load that's being shared around. He had 108 on the weekend. The week before against the Eagles, he only had 39. The week before that, 93, 65, and 85. So I just think you can't go near Edwards as a top 3 fullback whilst Nathan Cleary's in the team.
Yeah, I agree. Because as soon as Cleary's out, he gets the goal king, he gets a bunch more touches historically as well. And yeah, I completely agree.
He basically runs the right side when Cleary's out. Like he just gets the whole right side of attack. Whereas now he gets sort of the right side, but only like if Cleary doesn't do something with it first.
What about Casey McLean, Chibs? He's going to be about 690k. He's out on that left. His try and his try assist were both absolutely incredible. Also, loved when Tommy Jenkins gave him a cheeky little bum tap when his pants came down for the try. That was good stuff. But his base plus power, he had 45 this weekend. He can be very inconsistent. He's had 2 sub-30 games in base plus power, but then also 2 games of 50 plus in base plus power coming into this one. So it can be a little bit all over the shop. What do you reckon about Casey? He's clearly like a potentially generational talent.
Yeah. He's 19 still, isn't he? I think pretty lucky non-owners to get away with that. He was on 90 at half time and he just had he had a few errors in the second half, which I think just comes from maybe a little bit of inexperience. Like he was a bit excited and he was having such a good game. I think that he's one that I want to potentially target on that Panthers left edge. I know his base plus power isn't amazing, but I do think that he's got that attacking upside. The problem is if you're going to aim for him, this is the week to get him as well. Coming off 112 into 104, his break even is just, what's it going to be, minus or 7? It's going to be 7 next week by the looks of things. So I think he's the one. I think he'll be the popular one to target now for non-milky owners.
Yeah, just because of the price tag.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't know how I feel about his inconsistency, but I acknowledge that he is an option that I'll put some thought into. Brian To'o Tubes, a little bit back, 73 points. I thought early on the signs for Brian To'o owners were great. They were looking to go right early a lot. Didn't quite come off, and then as the rhythm of the game kind of unfolded, they just fell back into that left edge dominance again. But I think you're pretty happy if you're a To'o owner to see a nice try. He almost had a try assist as well for Nathan Cleary in that second half. It wasn't for the big thicky Cooper Clark mowing down Cleary from behind and forcing him to pass. But could have easily been an even better score for Brian To'o. But yeah, I think you're happy, aren't you?
Yeah, great try. Looked back, a few tackle busts as well. I think, it's funny, like we were sitting here possibly saying he's a sell last week, but again, with the Panthers so dominant, he's going to have good weeks, like realistically. He's still going to have weeks where he might get a double or even a treble. So I think you're happy and you're holding.
The 2 Isaiahs out of Penrith Tubes. Isaiah Yeo, 69 points, 80 minutes, first 80-minute performance of the season after his nice little rest the week prior. And Isaiah Papali'i, who had 50 points, all in base plus power, dropped one, like you mentioned, with the line completely open, and then came off with a testicular contusion after a very nasty-looking boot to the private parts of his body. So I think earlier reports are that he's going to be fine with that one. So that's a pretty good win for owners, that nothing more serious happened there. Tube Suafa'alongo, who had a 65 with a try, 42 in base plus power. You sold this week, I believe, to Drinky or to Cleary, or a little bit of both?
Bit of both. At that time, it was to Cleary. And then, a bit of movement later on.
Seems hard to get beat, doesn't he, Sua?
He seemed beat in this game, like as in he was coming in for a 30, sub 35, and obviously scored that try. So probably you're right. He seems hard to get beat. Like he can find the line. And that was the hardest game that they're going to have. So I think it's a pretty good score for owners. He's obviously, you're not trading him now that Walsh has gone down. I don't know. I think we saw the fact that he can have a floor on the weekend. Maybe I'm a little bit hopeful, but he's just going to come back to such big scores, isn't he? He's just constantly involved. The only concern, and honestly, it might be wrong, what played on my mind for selling him was I thought just him looking a little bit injured with that knee the week before, and just wondering if his body can hold up to this intensity and the rigor of the week-to-week NRL. And that doesn't mean that I'm wishing any ill will on him at all, but it's just this will be the longest stretch of games in fullback that he's going to have. And sometimes he just gets hit and he sort of just gets up and he's a bit sort of proppy. So yeah, that's the only way I could see him getting beat at all this year, because he looks unbelievable.
Yeah, it's funny because I think Tubes, in 3 out of our 5 regular season Sunday snaps, we've said, geez, he looked like he was going to go low there, and then some attack came. So, it does seem like he's going to have this low floor, but he just keeps finding attacks. So we'll see how it pans out. I think for me, especially with the Walsh news, Sewer is now a long-term hold for me. I was planning on moving him to Teddy in a couple of weeks, but I think, based on what I saw on the weekend, him just getting it done again, I'm holding. What about Joe Chan, Tubes? Joe Chan, the fix-it man. He's going to be up over 570K. He had a 56 on the weekend. When they got smashed, all in base plus power, I thought he was one of their better players who constantly kept getting tough carries and getting them forward. He's got a break even now of 73. Do you think he's now fine to trade, or do you think he's just an extended hold?
No, trade or nothing, I think. Well done, fix-it man.
No way. You don't mean that.
Yeah, I think so. I really do. Like, I think he's fine. I mean, you can obviously hold him. But I think he's like, I just don't think you're playing him. You're probably playing him on matchups, but I don't know. You're the owner. I don't own him. So, but I think that he's a sell. I think that he's made his money. And I would either be nothing to use the money elsewhere. I just don't think you want your money held up in these 520K second row forwards this year.
Oh, it's hard though when he's getting 50s. Like, he's averaging mid-50s in base plus power. Plus, he does seem like he has attacking upside based on what we've seen so far this year. So, I'm definitely not rushing to sell. Like, maybe if he had a few more weeks of these scores in the mid-50s and the attack's not coming, maybe then. But it's certainly not something I'm eyeing off soon.
Yeah, true. And I'm thinking the fact, and maybe you wait, Lasardi, Ballr, etc. still to come back. But I suppose if he keeps being an 80-minute back rower, you're probably hoping for another big score and another big price rise.
Yeah, coming up, if Hughes can just get him going again. But yeah, the last one, Chiefs, Harry Grant, you mentioned him earlier. He had 39 points in 62 minutes. He hyperextended his knee. I believe there might be some bone bruising. The positives that came out both directly after the game and the next day is that he looks fine and he's going to be set to go for next week. He actually said himself that he would have been able to come on that game if it wasn't so one-sided. If it was a tight game, he would have played again, and apparently he's all good to go for next week, which I think Tubes, for people like you and I who have Harry as our hooker 1 and the Cheese, who hasn't even played a game yet, as our hooker 2, that's music to our ears.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I thought he was going to definitely be out, and I was already thinking, well, at least clear his VC so I can just loop Harry. But that's good news. If he's back, can go to plan B.
Yep. All right, Chiefs, the next game, the Dragons versus the Cowboys. This was about where my SuperCoach weekend peaked. I felt top of the world after this game, and then it didn't go so smoothly for me for the last couple. But Jakey Clifford, he has had 125 points. Tubes, he's got a 3-round average of 103.3. He's got the goal kicking over Drinky again. Who would have thought that he was kind of the one that got away at 5'8" for a lot of people?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind him getting dropped again. Like, I'm sick of him taking all these try assists off Drinky and kicking all the goals. He looks a different player this year, Jake Clifford. Like, he's busting tackles.
A lot of power. Yeah, I was going to say a lot of power stats this year, which has never been a part of his game.
Yeah, so well done, like, to him, and obviously the Cowboys looking good again, and I do hope that he keeps going well, and I do think it's very good for Jackson Purdue, but yeah, he is the one that's got away. His kicking was back to being good this week, but he's just constantly there as well. Like, I think he's really showing himself as that regular first grader that the Cowboys needed at 5'8".
Yeah. Well, I mean, and if you didn't have him at 5'8", you had an next guy, Jackson Purdue. Like, you could have had either of these two Cowboys guys in your 5'8" slot. Purdue, 108 points, 2 tries and a try assist. The thing I love about being a Purdue owner is that the Cowboys, unlike Stephen Crichton, Tubes is a left centre example, the Cowboys understand how good he is out on that left edge and are actively setting up plays to get him involved. Like, he is getting early ball and he's got such good footwork and speed that he can beat his defenders one-on-one, and we've seen that time after time.
Yeah, he's like, I think it's it makes sense that the Cowboys are now just trying to get him as much early ball as possible because he is such an attacking weapon for them. Yeah, I mean, he's the one thing that I feel like I got right in the preseason. You know, him being the clear number 158. So it's good to see him go right again. He'll have a break even at 55 next week. I can't see you selling. Really, the only other 5'8" you'd want potentially in the future is Sharp, but you're not moving to him anytime soon. So, yeah, well done, all Purdue owners.
Scotty Drinkwater Tubes, 88 points. You brought him in this week. I don't think I'd be recommending him as a buy to the Walsh sellers this week purely because he doesn't have the goal kicking. I mean, it just means that if Cowboys have a game like they did 32-0, if Drinkwater's goal kicking, his 88 points turn into 110. But without the goal kicking, you know, it just completely lowers his ceiling. So do you think that does rule him out? Like, you're not an unhappy owner, but does it rule him out for the Walsh sellers?
I think so. I will be honest, I bought him in hoping that he would be kicking after last week. I mean, Clifford kicked 1 from 6 last week, and then Drinky had to go and kick the last one of the game just to help them win it. So I was expecting to see Drinky kicking. Still looks good. Obviously, I'm not unhappy with an 88. Very nice matchup, I think, against the Broncos at Suncorp next week. Obviously,
with all those players out.
With all those players out, but just it's a fast track up there. I just expect it to be a high-scoring game. And then they have Manly the week after. So a couple of nice games. And then they get the Sharks, which might seem like a tougher game, but it's up at Country Bank Stadium up in Townsville. So I didn't mind their run sort of coming up. But yeah, to get the most out of Drinky, you'd want him to be goal kicking. He's a top 3 fullback when goal kicking, and he's not a top 3 fullback when he's not, I suppose, is the easiest way to put it.
Choose the second last one from the Cowboys is Heilum Lukey, who's had 75 points. A line break was his only attacking stat. He had 65 in base plus power this week. Heilum Lukey is one of my favourites, how non-owners versus owners watch a player differently. Like Matt, the last couple of weeks, your brother, obviously great SuperCoach player. His commentary towards Heilum Lukey just makes me chuckle as a owner. Like, he's always like, oh, doesn't look very good. He looks pretty lethargic into the line, and then he got lucky with that line break, saves him again. But 65 in pure, like in base plus power, he's not getting saved by a lucky line break. Like, he's doing a good job. He's tackling really well. Maybe he's not running as hard as a Fini Fuiaki is, but he kind of does when he gets closer to the line, I would say.
Yeah, it's a great buy, 550K. It will be a conversation similar to, Joe Chan, the Fix-It Man. When do you sell him? There's not necessarily anyone really to, as you say, upgrade to at this point in time. They're doing enough of a job. But yeah, they've certainly got it done, these mid-range second rowers this year. That's been the big difference between a lot of teams, just how, getting onto these, really good second rowers that have made cash, and Lukey's at the forefront.
Chiefs, Tom Chester, you almost wanted to move him up into the Ready Explode category. What are you loving about Tommy Chester this year? Just
like his base and power is fantastic. But I just think that he's a great footballer. He's obviously very highly owned at 58%. And I guess also what I just mentioned with Drinkwater, that run that they've got coming up, I think is very good for him, particularly next week. He's on the right edge, and that is the Broncos' left edge. And I think that is a pretty good place to be attacking. He's just become a play every week. I was happy that I played him this week. I played him and Macassini, and I think he solidifies being your 4th or 5th centre wing. Maybe not all season, but certainly for the next period of time. Attacking stats will come for him.
Yeah, he looks super impressive, and I just agree. It's no thought being put into it. I'm playing Tom Chester in my team every single week moving forward, so I think he looks great. On to the Dragons, Tubes. Toby Couchman, obviously his return game after the concussion week off. He had a 67, in 58 minutes coming off the bench. Very much just played the Rouchy role. Started off the bench, came on, never came off the field, all in base plus power. I mean, pretty happy to see that if you're a Touchy owner.
Yeah, I mean, he's an awesome player and should be playing that many minutes. I don't know. I don't get the benching strategy. Maybe he's one of the 30 that Flano wants to drop, like one of the best young props. Not sure what the plan is there. But, yeah, I think you're probably not racing to buy him, but I think there's a world where in the next 3 or 4 weeks that he's the front row forward that everyone wants to have. I just think that he's a great player, and the price is right at the moment.
Well, yeah, he's going to drop down to under 540k, so it is a nice price for him. Tubes, just a couple of things to watch at the Dragons. There's not much else to talk about from SuperCoach relevance, but David Farley, first game of the year, only 29 points. I think we're all hoping he'd really get a big breakout score, so he'd make himself a great downgrade option. So we're really hoping he can have a big score next week. The other one, Tubes, I know you're going to love this, Trey Fuller. Mentioning him with the Dragons because a couple of reasons. Gutho potentially has a hammy injury that he did in the last minute of the game. So, you know, he's not a young man playing footy. We'll see what the impact of that is. But the Dragons are looking to get him immediately. And apparently he's got a clause in his contract at the Finns that if he gets offered a certain amount, he's allowed to break deal and go to a new club. So Trey Fuller at 559k, that would become a very interesting SuperCoach option if something happens there.
Yeah, I mean, he would for sure. I'll wait and see it. I wonder how much the Dragons would have to offer him for him to come. Like, I wonder what that amount is. But yeah, I think that it's Sunday. It's not Monday or Tuesday this week with Easter Monday. I think there's a lot to play out at the Dragons over the next week. So we'll just wait and see.
Wait and see. Right, Titans versus the Broncos, Tubes. Walsh gone, Reynolds gone with a groin injury for a couple of weeks, Hunt out for 6 to 8 weeks with an MCL. With all that being said, Ezra Mam looked in better form. He had a 98. Does he become a pod option now as almost the main man in this Broncos attack? They've got games coming up against the Cowboys, the Tigers, the Dogs, the Roosters, and the Seagulls. It's a nice run. If
he could kick goals, I'd say yes. But he just, he needs a floor, and he doesn't have it. Doesn't have the base. So you're having to spec him getting a huge amount of attacking stats. I actually picked him up on the waiver wire in draft this week and was pretty happy with that. So I think that's really where he becomes relevant, I think, in draft comps because people might have dropped him because of how poor he's been. But I don't think for Classic that you're going anywhere near Ezra.
Payne Haas, Tubes, came back, had 47 points in 55 minutes. I mean, watching this game, I thought he looked good in the work that he did. He didn't look to be hampered by injury, but you can't say with that score that he wasn't. He just wasn't doing as much. So clearly still the injury is impacting him.
Yeah, well, just tackle breaks down, offloads down. You can only put that down to injury because Payne Haas doesn't normally not have those. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. Break even 131 next week and only 55 minutes. If he gets a couple more weeks like that with the Broncos still winning, as you said, bit of an easier run coming up. Yeah, it could be ripe for the picking. Or I know that you talked about on the Tuesday pod about the Origin stuff, so I suppose we just wait and see on him. But yeah, it's certainly not one that you're racing out to buy at the moment.
Right. But
I don't think when you're racing to sell. I don't think so.
Tubes, you're a huge Jaden Campbell fan. You nearly brought him into your team this week over Scotty Drinkwater. He had a 70. So funny, JC. I wouldn't say it looks like he's played a very good game of footy so far in his 3 weeks back, but a little bit like Nico, a little bit like Nathan Cleary. He's just an accumulator. But the Titans' attack in the red zone is not looking good.
He got a big junk play at the end. Who'd he set up? Whoever he set up for that last try. But yeah, the fact that he's gone 97, 97, 70 and their attack has not clicked at all, I think is still good for him. I think he will be the halfback 2 option over the Origin period. I want to have him and Nico. But they've got the bye in the next 2 weeks. So you want to see a bit more from the Titans and it's hard to see where it's coming from if it didn't. It looks so bad. rewatching that Saturday night game.
Yeah, it did. And I thought actually Lockie Ilias Tubes had a better game, but he's still not the one who's going to control and get them around the park and get them into those best spots. And you sometimes wonder if Jaden Campbell, he looks so good in free-flowing footy, but when it's a stop-start game attacking the line, it's where he really struggles. Adam Aho, 57 points. He's now going to be 500K. She was just another one of this line. We mentioned Hill Lukey, Joe Chan. He's still getting the job done. It was nearly all in base plus power. I would say, Tubes, because he's available in the front row forward slot, he's a longer-term hold for me than, say, a Joe Chan, I think, at the moment. Because
100%.
As a front row forward too, you're just happy to play him every single week with that output.
And, like, it's just the jewel. It's handy. But it genuinely is. He's worth a longer hold than I think Chan because of having that dual status and that ability to be flexible and to plug in. Like Chan and any others that as you beef out your team, you don't want gun. You want 2 gun front row forwards, and then you want a third person that you can slot in there to play. But I think you want 4 gun second row forwards, and you're happy. Like, do you get what I mean? Like, it's just a different role than sort of those second rowers, and so I think you're happier to hold him. He could even be a hold to the end if he just keeps playing 80 minutes as a back rower.
Yeah. He very much could be with that ability to flip him around. Keanu Kinney Tubes, he unfortunately is actually going to drop a teeny tiny little bit in price this week. He had a 45. Break even next week is 69. It's really interesting. I thought watching that game, and maybe it's because I sold him this week that I was watching carefully and a little bit scared of what he was going to do, but I thought he looked the most dangerous he had all season with his running and his ball playing. I thought he looked like he kind of had a couple of times the Broncos on the back foot. What do you think? Like, he's not getting involved in the red zone. Their attack looks clunky in that space, like we said with Jaden Campbell. Do you look to give up on Keanu Kinney, or are you still confident like we have been all season? Is that big breakout score still coming to get that boost?
I'm not going to sell him this week. I think that's as much as you can really say at the moment.
Maybe then at the bye the week after.
But then the bye, yeah. So you need to see a fair bit more from him. But you can't keep holding on to these valuable fullback positions on a Keanu Kinney. This is obviously his lowest score of the year, and all the things that you said I agree with. But I don't think it's a this week problem for those that held.
All right, the Sharks versus the Wars Tubes, and it was all about Nicho Hynes this game. 140, 2 assists, 24 points in goals. He had 21 points from runs. The great thing about being a Nicho owner, for those who are, and I'm not and I'm jealous of it, because he accumulates points, he actually doesn't need to do heaps to go big. He had 2 assists. That's the extent of his major attacking stats today, and he's gone 140. Like, there are other halfbacks out there who would need 4 or 5 assists to go that big, and he just gets it done. It actually would have even been more if it wasn't for his 5'8" partner, Tricky Trindle, who just had to at one point pass it to him. He was going to stroll over untouched for another, except dummied and went himself instead. It's just super impressive. I'm intimidated not owning. The thing I'm keeping in mind, Tubes, they obviously play next week against the Roosters, and then they have a bye. They then have another bye, I think in either round 12 or 13. So they have like 2 byes in about a 7-week stretch. So that makes it a little bit hard for me to bring him in until after that's over and then get him fresh for the actual bye period.
No, I think he's a must-have by round 8. And their bye in round 12, I think, is the first major bye round. So, I mean, you can't... I mean, and obviously it's a bye, but I don't think you factor that in as part of it when you only need 13 players. For non-owners, I'm definitely going to be getting him in round 8 when they play the Cowboys that week. I got to figure out a way to do it because he's going to be worth so much money now, unfortunately. But maybe I'm just filthy at myself. Like you got to. Maybe I tried too hard in SuperCoach this year, but sometimes you got to pick the plays you also want to watch do well, and I can't. I hate watching.
Trying to support your favourite team.
Nicho, exactly. Not owning Nicho and sort of half death riding and then thinking, what am I talking about? Like I want the Sharks to go well. So it's the worst. So he's coming into my team. Won't be next week. I'll wait for the bye now. So round 8 straight in. Yeah,
I seriously choose. I'll put thought into doing him straight for Reece Walsh in my flex. I I think it's not logical. It's because I'm just sick of watching him accumulate points every week, and he's just such a good player, and he does look in good touch this year. But I'll think about it. I know the logical play is to wait till at least round 8, and who knows, I might even talk myself into waiting longer after that if I really like Teddy over him. Tubes, Kaolito, he's had 84 points, 59 in base plus power, plus a try. Just didn't see as much ball in the second half. Again, just like last week against the Raiders, the Sharkies looked left often in the first half, but in the second half, the right edge became more fanciful.
Yeah, but I mean, owners are happy. 84, 59 base plus power, and they've still got a pretty nice run. He's a nice price now. He's going to be a break even of 56. I think this is the cheapest he gets all season.
Yeah. For the Warriors side of things, Jackson Ford, I think the huge amount of people who jumped onto him, which includes me and YouTubes, were a little bit disappointed with his 59 points backing up his 60 from last week. The good thing about it is that he's still getting good minutes. He had 65 minutes this game, only 2 power stats, but I think Matt did put in a good kind of warning for people before they brought him forward that he's not a big power stats guy. He's a base guy. So you really just need him. If he continues getting those minutes, he's going to be a fine hold for a bit longer. Really good buy coverage, but hasn't had the big scores that we hope for, hey?
Yeah, and they looked no good today. I don't know, this Warriors, that I'm just looking, they don't have a Friday night game for a while at Wellington either. So, or Auckland. So are they a bit of a different team? They've got the Storm next week. I'm a little bit worried about it. I'm not worried about Jackson Ford, I guess, to your point, as in he keeps churning out these points. He'll, 60 is sort of his floor, or 59. But yeah, it's certainly, you're not looking to buy many Warriors at the moment, which is very different to the first few weeks of the year.
Are you looking to sell, Tubes? Because Tanner Boyd, the Boyd leavers, they've unfortunately witnessed a 35. He just had no major attacking stats this game and didn't get the chance to do too much. He got a few points from goal kicks, but not as many as you'd like. The only positive potentially for the Boyd leavers is that Lukey Metcalf came off with a hamstring problem. So maybe they go back to playing Tanner ball or Boyd ball, whatever you want to call it. Maybe they get back into that. Or do you think with a break even of 120 plus that he just becomes a sell this week?
Yeah, sell a Boyd. That's it.
All right. Final game of the round, Tubes, is the Knights versus the Raiders. I'm not going to spend too long on these first couple of guys, but want to give a shout out to Dane Gagai. 128 points, 24 points from tackle bust. Choose my favourite part of this during the week. Little news report leaks from his management that he's going around again. Dane Gagai is actively in contract conversations. He wants to play one more year, and then lo and behold, he comes out and puts out a performance like that. That's just got to be he did that last year, remember, as well. Once he announced he was going around for another year and he was keen to stay with the Knights, suddenly he started playing heaps good footy. I just love to see it from Dane.
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, that Raiders left edge defense, Sanders, Gagai was just having a field day on them. Did someone get injured? Because Chris moved to the right as well. And then, I don't know. Either way, Gagai, good to see. But yeah, I certainly, he's one where the old don't chase last week's points certainly comes into it, I think, for Big Dane.
Yeah, no, definitely don't change last week's points. Just to give an update, Xavier Savage came off with a syndesmosis injury, so Chris moved out. But Dane particularly had a field day that edge when there was the, what's his name, Hot Tamale got sin binned. And then they basically had Sanders defending in the centres up against Dane Gagai, and Gagai saw it and just went, all right, here we go, it's on. But what about just to use Ballr.live's player comparison tool for a moment, Tubes, to look at the Newcastle wingers? Greg Marju, Dom Young, both had good scores today, 2 tries apiece. Greg Marju, just his base plus power is just sitting in the mid to low 40s for this year. It's just not as elite as it has been in the past, which is interesting because he's also scoring more tries than he has in the past. The problem with Greg was that he never used to cross the line as much as a winger should, but his base plus power is so good. Now he's finally getting some tries. The base plus power has dropped. Then you got the opposite, Dom Young, whose base plus power is very inconsistent, tends to sit in the high 30s, low 40s, but he has scored 8 tries this year, was averaging 83 coming into this game. Just something about Dom Young in a Knights jersey, isn't there?
There is.
He loves it.
Did we talk about him last week? Like
He was at RTE last week. Someone had him as ready to explode.
Again, like he's getting it done. I'm very happy with him in draft. I owned Greg earlier in the year, and I had him for 2 weeks. And I did notice both on Ballr, but even just from an eye test perspective, his base is well down. Like I don't know what it is. Holbrook, it's very similar to Big Bad Brian Toto. Like it's not that he doesn't look fit or that he doesn't look as strong. It's just that he's not doing as much work. Obviously it's working for the Knights. Whatever they're doing is working for them. They've started 4-1. So I don't see it changing anytime soon. So I don't think you're bringing in a Greg Marju. But yeah, you'd be happy with Dom Young. It's just that, have you missed the boat, I suppose. I mean, he's still only 603K, so maybe. But surely he can't keep this try-scoring streak up.
I don't know. He did a couple of years ago when he last played for the Knights. Maybe he can. I'm not willing to... I'm not going to get him. But I don't know. I'm loving watching the Knights and what they're doing. So I hope for the Knights fans' perspective, he does. Shout out to Jake and Molly, big Knights fans who I know are really pumped up about what's been going on.
And I think Dylan Brown's only a week or 2 weeks away now, and Ponga's then only 3 weeks away. Like the fact that they're getting it done without them, and then they could be a very interesting SuperCoach prospect once those are back.
What about Fletcher Sharp Tubes? I just thought he looked a lot freer this week. Obviously, like that injury could impact him at any point. We saw it last week. He went down a couple of times with it, but I just thought today he was really directing traffic nicely. And looked quite good with what he was doing.
Yeah, I think he'll be in most people's sides. I can't wait to own him. Hopefully by Magic Round. Actually, that could be the my Magic Round play. Fletcher Sharp coming in.
I like that. I think I did that Magic Round last year. Fletcher Sharp came in, so maybe the same again. He's hopefully going to be nicely priced. He's going to have a dropping 40K this week with a break even over 100. So I think everyone at that 5'8" position is just watching Fletch, just going, come on, mate, keep dropping, and we'll try and get him into that team soon.
Purdue downgrade 100K to Fletcher Sharp. Sounds pretty nice.
Sounds very nice. She's the last one out of the night to speak about properly is Trey Mooney, who obviously coming back after his suspension. Only 42 minutes was the big thing there. He's been a 50-minute man so far. The 1 week he didn't get 50 was the week he got sin bin, and he was on track for 50. Very heavily strapped around the knee, but still good base plus power in what he had. But, geez, if you held on to him, you want to see those minutes come back.
Yeah, and there was a bit of chat in our group that they felt like the Raiders were trying to target him in defence. Like, did he potentially just get a bit more gassed and that's less minutes? I suppose it could be the injury. I think the problem with Trey is his ceiling, I think, is 50 minutes. So then you're relying on huge power stats and attacking stats. I think a lot of people have started to drop off, and I think this sort of 480 to 500K is probably going to be his range. So, yeah, he's not a bad hold, and he's also not a bad sell or nuff out option if you need the cash.
Very quickly, Wilson DeCourcy came on when there was an injury for the Knights as well. So, yeah, Bradman Best didn't come out after halftime with a groin strain. So he's just another cheapie just to put on your watch list and see how he goes over the next couple of weeks. From the Raiders' perspective, Tubes, Ethan Strange, his best game of the year for SuperCoach, scoring 97 points, trying to assist. Just still, they're not doing a good enough job of getting him involved in the red zone. I think that changes are going to come this week for the Raiders, Tubes. I think Ricky's been patient. 1-4, I can't see him being patient anymore.
Is that hot off the Clippers, or is this just a Jono conversation? But how do they change? Like Cody Black's still injured, isn't he?
He's playing. He's back in the
halves. Okay.
Scored a try and I believe kicked 4 from 4 today in Cup. I think I saw someone saying the ball is only Discord. So he's back. But it also could just be a change of tactics. It might be as simple as they swap the edges. Like Ethan Strange, obviously last year was a left edge player. They played him on the right. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be a personnel change. I think there will be a couple, but I do just think there's going to be a change of tactics with how they use Ethan Strange. That's my prediction for next week.
One man that they should not be going near changing is our boy, Simi Sasangi. I think
The
we
Podfather's
both
boy.
brought him in this week, didn't he? Yeah, he's a Podfather's, but we're going to claim him.
Yep.
After last week, I think we convinced at least 10% of the Supercoach world on the Sunday Snap last week to bring in Simi. He looked great again. He's got 82. He had a try and an assist, but no line break or line break assist in that number yet, which I'm a little bit perplexed by. I know that he got the ball off that tap back off the kickoff, but he then beat three people, either made a line break himself and then passed the ball to Ethan Strange, who then ran and scored a try. So, I mean, there's either a line break or there's a line break assist in there. I don't know which one it is, but I'm expecting him to go up to 90 plus. And he's a footballer. Like, he's so good. Like, as in, he just, he's just that classic, just give him the ball and make things happen.
Yeah, Tubes, I agree on that second part. Like, I think he's just such a good buy. And the handy duel that you can flip him around for the rest of the year, it's such good flexibility. I do think Tubes, the stupid thing about what you're talking about the kickoff is, under the old rules, that was never a line break because it came off a kick. Same thing as kicks in general play. They didn't give line breaks. But off kicks in general play now, they do pay a line break. So how is a kickoff that different? I don't understand. I think if you have one, you have both. Or it's a weird one. I don't expect to see it change, but I hope it does. Chief, speaking of guys who are just a footballer, what about Noah Martin? 60 tackles in this game to get himself up to a score of 76. Speaking of these guys, he's now 470k. Noah Martin might just be a year-end hold. That's how good his scoring is. And we haven't seen that attacking upside for him now since round one, but he does seem like he has it in there.
Oh, he 100% has it in there. He's been hampered by, as you say, the Strange not getting as much ball. He can hit a hole. So, yeah, he's not going anywhere. And I guess that's probably what I'm even saying, not to loop back all the time to the Chan sell, but, like, surely, I don't know, like, he's just, you can't hold all these guys, can you? Like, as in, and like, it feels unreal.
Oh, it is unreal. Like, they're all putting out premium level output at the moment. So it makes you feel like you're going to have to jump onto these big guys anytime soon. Tubes, last one of the week to talk about is Ethan Sanders. Just a really poor game again. Like we said last week was his worst game of the year. This one definitely topped it or bottomed it, whatever the right phrasing is there. Kicked it out in the full, making a lot of wrong decisions in the red zone. A lot of the ballers in the Discord were calling him out as a rage trade. I would love to trade Ethan Sanders, but at his price, Tubes, he's just not he's not easy to trade. He's going to be about 340k, break even at 36. I think, Tubes, one of two things needs to happen for the people who have him as their halfback too. You need to hope that a breakout score comes soon and that he does get up to a bigger price tag and just boot him as soon as you can. Or you hope that Kobe Black comes into the team and he gets dropped and you can downgrade him 150k and hopefully, start making up that cash again. It's either scenario isn't feeling great for me at the moment.
Yeah. So much time and energy spent on the Sanders versus Atkinson debate, and the answer was neither.
Yep. The answer was kind of unequivocally now after 5 rounds of play, 2 premium halfbacks was the play.
Yeah.
Tubes, obviously still a game to come tomorrow, so hopefully good luck to all the ballers who are holding either Eels or Tigers players for the last round. Hopefully you can boost their score home. But Tubes, before we head out, let's hear our big baller moves brought to you by the Ballr Team Builder tool. When you are bored and waiting for the SuperCoach app to open on Tuesday morning this week, you've got all day tomorrow. Get into the Ballr Team Builder, play around with your trades. Tubes, I have made one trade already this week in my way too early thoughts for round 6. And that trade at the moment is Reece Walsh out, Mark Nawangani Tawase coming into my flex position. I think it's a week too early for Teddy for me. You mentioned his break even in the 130s. My plan, Tubes, is to do, Marky Mark for a week and then flip him into my centre wing and then do Sedu 2 to James Tedesco or Nico Hines the week after in that flex spot. What's your way too early thoughts in the big baller moves?
I'm thinking of getting the other Roosters guy, Robert Toya. I think his break evens in the negatives. I may also get Markey. I'm not sure if I can afford that or how I do it. But I don't own Walsh, so I'm thinking I'll hold Kinney. I've got to sell Stephen Crichton. So I've got to figure out a way to get him to one of those Roosters players. And so there'll probably be a downgrade in one of the other positions that I still TBA. I honestly thought I'd be figuring out what to do with Harry Grant before this episode. So I'm glad you've cleared that up for me. And I think I will be, it'll be, my very early thoughts is it'll be Crichton to Toya or Marky Mark 100%. It's just a bit of pondering to think who there. And I bet I end up going Toya because the masses will go Marky Mark and I'll be looking for something to swing my way.
Yeah. It makes sense. Looking for a pod.
Yeah. And it'll, we'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes. Tubes, Tuesday show this week. Obviously, we'll be back with the full round of scope then. By then, we'll know what happens in the game tomorrow. We'll know if Makasini, Big Mac goes huge. We'll know if Joash Papali'i cements himself as a Supercoach option as well. But we're going to be back. It's going to be me, Matt, and a special guest we're hoping for to join, who is a really great special guest if he gets on board. If it's not him, well, it might be either YouTubes or it might be CMAC. Also, fantastic guest to have on as well. Obviously, not putting you guys down. And hopefully some watch-along news. I know a lot of people in the Ballers Only Discord have been asking about the watch-alongs. Hopefully, we have some news early this week about what's happening for the first Baller watch-along, which I know we're very excited about, Tubes. And finally, reminders also, get onto those social, search for Baller NRL or Baller SuperCoach on all the social media apps. Like us, follow us, subscribe, comment, do all that good stuff to continue to help the Baller community grow. We really appreciate it. Choose, before we head out, what time tomorrow do you reckon I get a message from your brother Matt about my Helam Lukey slander that I had about him earlier in the pod? What time do you reckon he comes through? Morning, afternoon? It's a good test to see if he listens.
It's at Easter Monday, so I think give him a few hours. So it'll be about 2:00, something like
2
that.
o'clock. All right, I'm going to say early. I reckon he gets up, has a little bit of a morning exercise. I reckon I get it through at about pre-9 a.m. I reckon we see a message in the group chat, but I'll make sure to keep people in the Discord updated on that. Tubes, any other thoughts before you take us home?
No, I'm off to play golf with the Podfather tomorrow, so just to sort out his team for the upcoming week with some trade plans. Where together we're probably going to be into the top 50 this week, so that's good. And probably my only other thoughts. I appreciate you, your lovely worded comments there about myself and CMAC, because we have been feeling benched off on the Tuesday pod. There was some talk about a new podcast potentially forming, Off the Pine, the Shark Tank of featuring CMAC and Tubes. If we look forward to being invited back to that show at one point in the future.
Look forward to having you on. I've got to say, I'm loving doing it with Matt and Dan. I think it's been fantastic. They are two of the best in Supercoach, so I'm loving doing it. But you and CMAC are fantastic as well.
Thanks, John. I enjoy listening to it. And you beauty.